I just had my mind blown by Halloween 6 of all movies.
Gross.
It gets gross, actually.
The Bean Holes.
Look it up.
The Bean Holes. It's Eric and Nate. The Bean Holes. They're really pretty great. So shut up and listen to them talk. Eric and Nate.
All right, welcome to the Bean Holes. I'm Nate,
I'm Eric.
and today we are starting our Halloween-themed month.
And not just on the holiday Halloween, but on the classic horror series as well.
Yes, we've done Halloween-themed months in the past, usually October, and we
Try
thought
to keep it in that time frame.
we thought it would be nice to have flies buzzing around in the studio today, and
Ooh, spooky.
and to focus on the Halloweenest of all Halloween properties, Halloween.
Doesn't get more Halloween than this, folks.
I confess I accidentally did about 17 hours of research on the holiday Halloween, but I'll try to keep up with you on the movies.
Yeah, you like interject trick-or-treating trivia when they're like, wait, there's a scene where the kids trick-or-treat. Yes. Okay, well, did you know?
No, actually, I did not realize that. I knew it was called All Hallows Eve. All Hallows Eve, not Al.
Al.
Hey, I'm Al Hallows Eve, and I'm here to sell you some spooky pumpkins. But no, it's called All Hallows Eve because it's the day before All Hallows, or All Hallows Day, or All Saints Day. Hallow, in much older dialects, is interchangeable with saint. And then there's another day.
Wait,
after.
so the 31st being All Hallows Eve would mean that November 1st is All Hallows.
Yes.
Okay.
And that makes sense. And there's another day, and since this is not about that, I don't know what it is. But the point is, no, it's Hallowtide is the name of the 3-day period, and so it's actually, a lot of people say it's spooky season or whatever for all of October.
Spooky season.
Halloween, or at least the originating holidays that are about 600 years old at this point, they were a season. They were a 3-day period, much like Christmas is in certain areas and certain time periods, a 12-day holiday. Holidays.
Yeah. I wish we had that. They're like, hey, here's 12 days off, paid holiday.
I mean, we kind of do have that for people that work in the public school system.
Yeah.
Do you count as that? Do you have, I know we don't talk much about your job, but the particular job you have, do you have to work through a winter break like that?
No, but I get the same winter break the kids do.
Very nice.
It's wonderful. Yeah, and I try to Halloween is my absolute favorite season. So around this time, I more than any other season do I every night I want to watch horror movies, to the point that I will try to give Halloween-centric nicknames to kids.
Yeah.
So instead of Julia, it's Gulia.
Ooh. Give us more, please.
That's all I have. I usually I have a bunch of McDonald's themed nicknames like Broken McFlurry Machine or Hash Brown.
I'm sorry, do you call kids that?
I have a kid I call Broken McFlurry Machine because they wanted to be called McFlurry, and I said it's only appropriate because you can never get one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
that would be the scariest costume, is to be a McFlurry machine because it's never running.
When I'm working with students, as you know that I do.
What?
How outrageous! No.
Spooky. That's spooky.
But one of my little tricks is you know this because you were my student many years ago. But I like to purposely call people by the wrong name, not a nickname, not an obvious nickname, but to just be like, "You're Jerry. I don't need to know what your real name is. I'm calling you that today."
Next week it might be Dave.
Yeah. And that lets me, unlike all the other people who are like, I will remember your names eventually. I'm so sorry. I'm not good with names. I'm just like, I don't care.
To be fair,
You're going to be gone a couple years. I'm never going to see you again.
To be fair, I think you've still called me Jerry or Steve or Richard a few times.
Probably.
You don't want to get close to people. But anyway,
That's true.
one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and definitely on the list of one of the most unappreciated directors, is John Carpenter.
Yes.
Director of such classics as The Thing, They Live, and Halloween.
And don't forget, right before Halloween, Assault on Precinct 13. Wow.
Assault.
It is Assault on Precinct
The way he said
13.
it, it's like, we only use pepper here. Who brought salt into Precinct 13?
Pre-stink?
Pre-stink.
Okay, now you can't make fun of me when you're screwing up and making fun of me. But yeah, Halloween. Halloween was Johnny's breakout hit.
Johnny's. We just watched the first movie, so it should be pretty clear. At least a part of the Euphonics team watched the entire movie.
Yes, you and me and one other person,
Well,
who shall remain unnamed and will be censored out of the video of us watching. I'm sorry, we didn't record video. At least that's what we want you to think, so we can censor him out.
if you're censoring him out, then at least half of the movie it'll just be me talking.
Yeah, I don't tend to stay awake.
Stay awake. For those that don't know, there's an entire within the horror genre. There is a bunch of subgenres.
What?
Can you believe this? And there is something called the slasher genre, which pretty much started with Halloween.
Yes.
At least when you think of the horror icons, you think of Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers. I believe beats all of those guys out. Chucky.
Well, he
I think
really is the progenitor.
The pro janitor. He did.
No.
He is. He does dress like a janitor though. So.
He's the granddaddy of them all, or at least the daddy of them all.
Daddy Michael Myers.
Jason.
Texas
very
Chainsaw
quickly
beat it by 4 years.
Yeah,
so,
but who cares?
yeah.
Who cares? Try not to swear anymore, so we can get that sweet, sweet YouTube money. So who cares about that? Michael Myers was far more iconic as far as just, an on-screen presence. Certainly, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was also a successful movie.
Absolutely.
Leatherface, quite successful, also iconic. But boy, oh boy, is that William Shatner mask. I'm sorry, did I screw up a fun fact you were going to share?
No, that's a fact we would have said anyway.
Billy Shatner with some white out on his face. That's a terrifying mask. But most importantly, Halloween, he is a grounded character, Michael Myers.
Yes. The first movie was only made for $300,000 to about $325,000 in 1978. Went on to gross $70 million at the box office.
Wow. Now, if $300,000 doesn't sound like a lot to you, it's because in movie terms it isn't, and also if that applies to you, it doesn't sound like a lot. I would appreciate some money.
For right now, that would be about anywhere from like $1 million to $5 million,
Yeah.
because that's a small budget for a movie these days.
Certainly.
And this was no small movie. They definitely had a big scope with it for what they had. And that first opening shot, and that's all three of us watching that movie were blown away by that opening shot. And not that it was any of our first time watching the movie. I think for you, you had said it was your first time watching it in full.
Yeah, I saw it on
Yeah.
TV here and there.
And I've seen it, but it's been a few years. But that opening shot is one long take
Yeah.
of the outside of the Michael Myers home, going in through the back door, up the stairs,
Yeah.
and following what seems to be the perspective of Michael Myers as a child.
Absolutely, yes.
Um,
But more importantly, they must have been at some point actually passing the camera from either a person or I don't know. They definitely were carrying it in the beginning, but then it really seems like a rolling tripod tracking shot at some points.
yeah, it was very clean.
Yeah, but
And it these days, I guess some people who might not have an appreciation of older films might watch that opening scene and go, well, I can go outside and record that with my phone. But for the time, that was incredible. Like that was a groundbreaking shot. So the entire movie takes place about a character named Michael Myers, who as a kid killed seemingly his older sister, and grew up to become a psychotic killer, if you will, who breaks out of a mental institution, returns to his hometown, and decides, I'm going to kill a bunch of babysitters.
Why not?
Yeah, one of them being Jamie Lee Curtis in her first film role. I don't know if she had smaller roles before that, but this was definitely her breakout as a movie star, and became one of the first scream queens.
Yep.
That like elite group of because horror, and I've mentioned this to you. A lot of people talk about women representation in film, and I think it is so. A lot of people don't bring up that women in horror, they've been running that for decades.
Absolutely, the real stars.
Yeah. The final girl has always been like one of those tropes in horror movies, and they've been surviving psychotic killers, mutant zombies. Like there's the female
Cyborgs from the future.
Yes, absolutely. Jamie Lee Curtis, one of the first big ones. So in the first movie, though, she's not Michael Myers' sister. That's not a thing at this point.
For those of you that don't know, they eventually kind of retconned that and made her like a long lost sister.
Right.
But not in the first movie.
Not in the first movie. So I mean, from what you saw before, would you say at this point in your life you've seen the full movie just through bits and parts?
Bits and parts. I don't know, and I don't care. Let's just keep talking.
Well, I was going to ask you what you thought about it, because we actually...
Well, I think it's a very well-made movie, and as I was saying, I like Michael Myers. He's scarier because I'm not actually afraid of, for example, a ghost coming and invading my nightmares and killing me in my dreams, which will then affect me in real life. I'm not really scared of an undead zombie coming after me with a machete, which is what Jason really turned into, even though he was a bit more grounded early on as well. He's not, Michael Myers, initially anyway, not a hulking giant, just a normal guy, a normal appearing guy.
Yeah.
Although I don't think we see the face.
We don't really. They tease it in parts.
Yeah. He's kind of a skinny guy in a jumpsuit and a mask, and it's believable that that somebody would do the things he does in this movie, and that's what's really scary to me.
Yeah, a few things early on in the movie. He shows up to a school, like he's just there, and he's driving in a car following people. He's way more realistic than any of the bigger horror names, and that does add a scarier edge to him. So John Carpenter was brought back for Halloween 2. He did help write that, and that one does bring in the fact of like, okay, why is he going after this one girl?
Right.
Okay, well, he killed his older sister, but he didn't kill his baby sister, and that's who Laurie Strode ended up being, and then adopted to another family, the Strodes in Haddonfield. At the end of that movie, Michael Myers is killed. He's on fire. He's burned. The second movie, and that was the plan. That kind of is one of his first and only official 100% death, even though it's retconned. But at the time, the original creator, that was his death, because their idea was that, okay, we're finishing up the story of Michael Myers, but let's keep the series going with new stories every year, so that the Halloween franchise could be, every year there's a Halloween movie in the Halloween season.
Yeah, an anthology series.
Right, just like you would see in the Twilight Zone,
Yep.
or more recently, Black Mirror.
Yeah.
So Halloween 3 Season of the Witch comes out in 1982, which has nothing to do with Michael Myers, and is actually about a company making Halloween masks to take over kids and like suck their life force out. It's a crazy movie.
Corporate America.
Always trying to take the life force of children. And it's a really good movie. It's one of my favorites in the series, but it's hard to talk about that to people, because when you're talking about the Halloween franchise, they're expecting Michael Myers, and if one of my favorite movies in the franchise doesn't have him in it at all, it's certainly a black sheep.
Get out of here.
Get out of here with your Season of the Witch. But it didn't make. It made profit, but it definitely was not the profit the studio was hoping for. So I think at this point, they should have stayed with it.
Yeah.
They should have stayed with the anthology because I think.
I mean, maybe go more toward, they didn't have to go back to the winner they already had. They could have done something more similar rather than such a different story.
I think if Halloween 4 had come out as another anthology movie, the issue is they didn't tell people enough that this was a thing. They didn't announce it in their marketing. They just released it, and people saw the number 3 and went, okay, what's going on, and where's Michael Myers?
Yep.
I think with a 4th one, people would have gotten on board with that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, money talks, and they brought back Michael Myers for Halloween 4, which goes back to kind of the same formula, except for now he's going after Laurie's daughter.
Yes.
And this is what's silly, is that the guy's in apparently a coma for 10 years and wakes up hearing that Laurie Strode has a daughter. Somebody just mentions, like, oh, he was trying to kill Laurie Strode, his sister. Oh, she has a daughter now. Boom, he awakes.
That would do it for me.
Yeah.
I'm an uncle. Time to get murdering.
Oh, I got to go kill her now. So this starts a trilogy of Jamie. I forgot her last. I don't know if she keeps the Strode last name.
You mean Laurie?
No, Jamie is her daughter.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, this starts a trilogy. Halloween 4, 5, and 6 all have to do with
the daughter.
Laurie Strode's daughter, Jamie, and her dealings with Michael Myers, because Laurie Strode, Jamie Lloyd, she goes by, played by Danielle Harris, who for Halloween 4 and 5.
Or Danielle?
Danielle Harris.
Okay.
Did I say Daniel?
You sure did, sir.
Danielle Harris, absolute shining star in these movies. In these, at least in the first 2. The third one is very weird. I'll get to that, and it's got a very cool story I just figured out. Because I've ignored these 3 movies for so long because they're just not good. They're made very weird.
She's a shining star. The movies stink.
The movies are shit, but she is like one of the best parts of those movies, especially Halloween 4, which, man, I really think they should have ended with that, because the movie ends with her in a clown suit killing somebody. Like her doing the exact same thing Michael did. And Dr. Loomis almost collapsing to the floor, like witnessing this, realizing like, another one.
Yeah.
And it's so wonderful, and I think artistically they should have ended with that, but of course, as I said, money talks, so 4 made a buttload of money. We got to make a 5. And so on and so forth. 5 is where things get a little weird and a little more supernatural.
Okay.
Where they tease something called the Thorn of something. Let me find that.
The Thorn of something.
Isn't that something? I don't know what it was called, but they kind of.
Sounds great.
Oh, I'm looking at Halloween 5 right now. They basically tease a cult, and the cult doesn't show up until the end of that movie, where they kind of Michael Myers gets locked up in a jail
Okay.
cell, and all of the cops are saying he's gonna rot in here. He's gonna stay in here until he dies. There's a line by, I believe it's Dr. Loomis, who goes, "He never dies."
Yeah.
That's the thing. And there we go. The Curse of Thorn is the name of the cult, which by Halloween 6, the Curse of Michael Myers, it is revealed that is his source of immortality and his drive to kill.
All right.
So now Michael Myers goes from a child psychotic killer to a cult being.
Cult being.
I don't know how to say it, but he's like a product of a cult.
Yep. Is he a product of a cult, or is he just worshipped by this cult, or powered by their magic?
Powered by their magics. I don't think he has any clue that they exist.
All right. He's a pawn.
He's
an instrument.
Yes. So how he gets out of that prison at the end of
Who's Howie?
How Michael Myers gets out of that prison at the end of Halloween 5 is by a man in black showing up and letting him go, and also kidnapping Jamie.
McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey was in the 4th Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so now it's just an entire
All right.
universe. Halloween 6 is a weird movie because when it was released, it was hated, and it was hated for a few things, because the whole movie has to do with this cult, and Jamie, now 18, was forced to have a baby with this cult, and a bunch of weird supernatural things happen. Well, it wasn't until years after that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you can ask me whatever you
So
want.
was Jamie the hero of the?
Of the 5th one?
Yeah.
No, she murders at the end of 4.
Yep.
In 5, she is in a institution.
Okay.
She's a mute because of all the issues with Michael. She's catatonic, basically.
Yep. Okay.
He goes back to go and kill her, so she's now back on the run. By the end of 5, she has helped get him behind bars. So she's not really at this point.
But does she go back behind bars?
No.
Or-
Well, she gets kidnapped by the Man in Black.
Oh, right.
So
right,
right as the climax of the movie is happening, he lets Michael Myers out of prison,
Kidnap.
takes her.
Got it.
So
Okay.
now this cult has her,
All right.
and has had her for at least 4 or 5 years.
Excellent.
Makes her have a baby. So
So did a member of the cult impregnate her, or were they just like yelling at her to get
you
baby
don't know
making?
because the movie opens up with her giving
Okay. So
birth.
okay.
Here's the thing, though. The movie came out, wasn't very liked, seemed off for a Halloween movie, by all accounts. Years after the home release of the movie, the original work print of the film, with 45 minutes of extra footage, was found and discovered by fans.
That's a lot of footage.
Yeah. They
I sawed
started
this film in half.
I sawed this film in half. Then they started making bootleg copies of this version, which was completed. It wasn't like, oh, here's some weird footage. It was a completed movie. Then all of a sudden, some things made sense. Some of the kills, some of the scene changes started making sense.
Was it like a 3.5 hour long movie at this point?
No, the original cut was 88 minutes. So it was about,
okay.
yeah.
That's less than an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So it was just finally a full length movie.
The studio, because it was released in 1995.
Yeah.
So at this point, the studio feels pressured that they want just blood, gore, get right to the point.
Right.
They don't want to waste time with any story or anything, because in mid-90s, the horror genre was not into the older slasher films these days.
Right.
So the studio just cut it to shreds. The fans find it. For years, this was like a bootleg VHS, bootleg DVD.
Right.
Fans passing around. They called it the producer's cut.
Yeah, keep going.
What are you doing? Yoga? Was our coffee thing falling out?
No, the P from Keep was way off to the side. It was like
bothering
key
you?
P on Beanin.
Key
Really
P.
bothering me.
So
For
yeah,
those
for
of you
years-
listening, I'm sorry, that was a set piece from our videos.
Eventually, in 2014, whoever had the official rights to release the series took the producer's cut, remastered it, and released it as the official cut of Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so, to answer your question about the baby, it is alluded in the producer's cut that the baby is a product of incest between Michael and Jamie.
Gross.
Adds more to the cult situation. And the film ends with, originally the film ended with just this shot where Dr. Loomis discovers Michael, and then the shot is away from the room, and then you hear Dr. Loomis screaming.
Yeah.
In the producer's cut, he's actually shown that the guy under the suit is not Michael Myers. It was the leader of the cult who passes his powers to Dr. Loomis, basically says, he's your problem now, dies, Dr. Loomis screams.
Ah.
Donald Pleasance passes away.
Yeah.
Not at that moment. That movie comes out. Donald Pleasance unfortunately passes a few months before. I think it was released. It was released in honor of him, which is really unfortunate that that character ended with such a huge, like, you're going to be the leader of this cult now of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And the guy passed away. Because their next movie was Halloween H2O,
Mm-hmm.
which is about water.
Yes. It was strange for them to take the whole thing onto sailboats.
Yep, the whole. Well, actually, it would have if that would have been a better title for Jason Takes Manhattan, which takes entirely on a boat until like the last 10 minutes.
The whole thing onto sailboats would have been a better title.
If it was like Friday the 13th on a
The
sailboat,
whole thing onto sailboats.
yes,
All right.
it would have been less of a lie than Jason Takes Manhattan,
That's true.
in which like the last 5 or 10 minutes is him finally in New York. He like just kicks a boombox. That's basically all he does. Halloween H2O completely ignores 4, 5, and 6. Goes back to the original storyline. Laurie Strode faked her death, moved to she's like a teacher now at a school, and hides her identity. She doesn't call herself Laurie Strode. Has a son. Michael Myers just shows up.
So Jamie, the daughter of Laurie, who is played by Jamie, doesn't exist when we get to...
Jamie is played by Danielle Harris.
Yes, I understand that.
Right.
But Jamie, the character
Oh.
Jamie does not exist as far as the 7th movie is concerned.
Correct.
And the 7th movie is about sailboats.
Then the 7th movie is about sailboats.
Okay.
And it's just, I don't know. It's a weird movie, and it's what they're trying to do now with the newest Halloween. Ignore a bunch of sequels and let's start fresh with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yep.
Um,
So they were doing that. Yeah. So
They were
even
doing-
this is an old trick.
yeah, it's an old trick. In
How long ago was this?
H2O, I believe 1998.
Wow. Okay.
So 20 years ago.
Yep.
They tried this. 20 years later. Now it's 40 years later. Halloween H2O is a good movie, and then compared to 4, 5, and 6, it's a lot cleaner. It feels better. It feels more like it belongs than like in 1998 as a movie than Curse of Michael Myers did in mid 90s.
Yep.
I can understand why the studio cut that movie up because they were worried about that kind of stuff. Halloween Resurrection with I think it's LL Cool J or Busta Rhymes.
Wow, that's a strange choice for playing Michael Myers.
I know, it's crazy. Halloween Resurrection goes, which Halloween H2O ends with the absolute best Michael Myers kill.
Okay.
He's dead. Like, he gets his head chopped off. He's decapitated.
That's usually
A telltale sign that
Yeah.
you're dead.
if for those of you watching or listening, if you come across someone and they do not have a head attached to their body, 9 times out of 10, they will not survive.
Right. In Halloween Resurrection, they go, yeah, okay, we're going to find a way to retcon that by, oh, it wasn't Michael Myers. Michael Myers undressed, put his clothing on a ambulance attendant, like a worker.
Yeah.
And
Who then decided to keep trying to kill people?
No, who just was in the wrong place at the wrong time and getting pinned in by the ambulance at the end of H2O.
Okay.
So Michael Myers, genius thinking there and how to escape the clutches of Laurie Strode.
So no one would have ever removed the mask in the process of...
Correct.
Okay.
Laurie Strode at some point figures out that that's not in the middle. At some point between H2O and Resurrection, she figures out, I didn't kill Michael Myers. I killed a random guy, and I chopped his head off. So she is now in an institution herself at the beginning
can't
of
handle the
Halloween.
guilt?
Yes, can't handle
All
the
right.
guilt.
Okay.
Realizes Michael is going to keep going after her. And once again on Halloween night, October 30th, he shows up, starts killing nurses, doctors. She sets a trap for him. He gets caught in the trap, but she tries to remove his mask to see if she did it. He kills her, just tosses her off the roof.
Okay.
That's it. Laurie Strode dies.
And
Right at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, and okay.
That's not the whole movie.
Okay.
Because the whole movie then goes, and it's people hate
Wait,
Halloween.
did she even get to eat any yogurt?
No.
Okay.
No Activia.
Okay.
Horrible. The rest of the movie is takes place inside of the Myers home with cameras set up, and they're sending a group in to spend Halloween night in Michael Myers' old house.
All right.
And it's being streamed on the internet.
Nice.
Michael Myers comes home. Obviously, I mean, it wouldn't be fun
What
if he
a
doesn't show up.
twist.
What a twist! He shows up and starts killing people, and that was one of the first Halloween movies I saw, so I'm a little bit more forgiving in its quality. It is a bad movie, and
Here's a question.
Busta Rhymes is the guy in it who actually has a fight scene with Michael Myers.
Fantastic. Is he technically even breaking the law? Does he own that house?
I don't know.
Like, is he just defending his home from intruders?
I
Maybe.
The
Maybe
description-
Michael Myers is completely in the right in this particular
I would
movie.
agree with that. I like
After, aside from the
I
you
like
know,
the
little killing
description
his
of this
sister.
movie where it goes after his lifelong goal of killing his sister. He's going home. My mission's done. Time to go home. Country Road starts playing while he's walking the streets of Haddonfield. That movie ends with another one of those scenes of like, oh, he's dead, but he's not dead. But the
Right.
series completely died at that point because Halloween Resurrection made less money. At this point, I think people were getting really sick of it. And what does a movie studio do when they want a franchise to continue but make it fresh? They reboot it.
Yeah.
And they did that with Rob Zombie, 2007. You had mentioned never seeing that movie. I've seen it. It's decent. It kind of looks more at his childhood, which you said you didn't like. You didn't like that idea.
I don't like the idea of exploring. I mean, I do like the idea of doing that in some movies. I don't like the idea of doing a prequel that takes a character that their whole appeal is that they're mysterious and silent, and then explaining the mystery.
Yeah, I think that would work better as a TV show, kind of
Yep.
in the vein of Bates Motel.
Yep.
Which, with throughout its 5 seasons, fully explained the character of Norman Bates.
Haven't heard of him.
You would like him. He runs a great motel.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so Rob Zombie does a decent job, and it makes a ton of money. It is Halloween, so it is. Makes a ton of money. He does make a sequel, Halloween 2, which is the worst drama I've ever seen. And I explained to somebody else in front of you all the weird things about that movie, but hardly any people die. It's a movie that takes place about Laurie Strode and her struggles more than it does Michael Myers. And I don't know, Rob Zombie just completely, at this point, he was like, I don't have to respect John Carpenter as much because I did the first one, and, that was a respect to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can do whatever I want. I'm going to make this boring.
Awesome.
I've watched it twice. I've given its due. It is a boring movie to me, and if people like it, they like it. But that also killed the franchise because they were working on a Halloween 3D for years. They were trying to make a third one. They were going to make it in 3D, and it just couldn't get off the ground. And eventually, they started shopping the franchise to other production companies, and it fell in the lap of Blumhouse Productions, who is probably the best horror movie company that we have right now because they release low budget films. They make a ton of money, and most of them are pretty good quality. The Purge, Sinister, Happy Death Day,
Ernest Goes to Jail.
Ernest Scared Stupid. But yeah, they get Danny McBride, the comedian, writes the story for this new Halloween with his writing partner, who ends up directing it, and it's a complete.
Wait, to be clear, you're not saying that is the plot of the movie.
That is the plot of the movie.
That Danny McBride writes the movie.
Yes, it's called Halloween, and it's just about his struggles not trying to make it funny. He keeps writing humor into the movie, and he keeps laughing at it, but he doesn't want it to be funny.
It's just extended shots of him writing and laughing to himself.
Yes.
Yeah, I would see that movie.
David Gordon Green is the director and co-writer, and they make this movie in the way I think when you want to continue a continuity, you just ignore sequels. So they're completely ignoring everything but the first Halloween movie, and they even did the right thing by getting the original Michael Myers, the original guy who was
I mean, I'm
known as the Shape.
I would say it remains to be seen whether they did the right thing, but
It was cool, at least for fans. I mean, if you watch that
yeah,
movie
it's
and you have no
interesting.
idea, you're never going to know it's the same guy. Yeah, but they went back, they got Jamie Lee Curtis, and they even went back and got John Carpenter to score it. He's actually doing the music for this movie, and the entire process was gone through by him. Not only the story, but the music and the choosing the characters and everything was done with John Carpenter, and it got John Carpenter to a point where now he wants to make another movie,
beautiful.
which is good for us. And
I hope so. I hope he hasn't lost his touch at 70 years old.
yeah, he seems to, but it's good to see him not as cynical and enjoying himself,
Yeah.
because a happy John Carpenter is a productive John Carpenter.
And hopefully, a happy, productive John Carpenter is a
Makes-
scary John Carpenter.
Yes, but I'm definitely excited to see this, because it's exciting to just get a new timeline.
Yeah.
Which we'll go through in our
And it's
Our third episode
it's an
this month.
important lesson to learn that if you want to build a solid horror movie, you need to get a Carpenter.
yes, you get two comedians and a carpenter in a room, you're bound to get something scary.
All right.
Well, keep on being.
Eric and Nate.